Hey everyone, welcome to Hawk Talk Game Previews. This week we will be previewing the Seahawks versus Steelers Sunday Night Football matchup. I'm Santosh, and we have Saaketh, and we'll start off with the injury report for the game.
So injury report, there isn't much to go over. So for the Seahawks, much to go over is, and there's not as many injuries as we usually see from the Seahawks late in the season, but um, Russell Wilson and Chris Carson are on IR. This is pretty big news because Chris Carson just got put on IR a little bit a couple of days ago, I think. So we hope to see if he returns soon. And we know Russell Wilson did have his surgery on his fingers, so he'll be out for a good amount of time. But other than that, Trey Brown and Ethan Posick got elevated from the practice squad, and for the game, Cedric Ogwehi is inactive. And yeah, so for the Steelers, um, they have Juju Smith-Schuster, who isn't playing because of a season-ending injury, and the Carlos Davis, one of their defensive players, is also not playing in this game.
Yeah, I mean for Seattle, two injuries. Obviously Chris Carson, Russell Wilson, big injuries, and then Cedric Ogbuehi not being there kind of affects the offensive line depth. So that'll be interesting to see. But a lot of the limited participants in Thursday's practice, you see Bobby Wagner with a knee injury. That's going to be interesting. I wonder how they're going to get him, going this Sunday. And then Damian Lewis has been coming down with an illness this past week, but he's been a limited participant in practice, and it looks like he'll be good to go. Penny Hart, Daryl Taylor, both limited participants with injuries, but as far as we know right now, on the Friday injury report, it says that they are in and they're good to go. So that'll be fun. And then for the Steelers, not much other than Juju Smith-Schuster's injury and Carlos Davis, their defensive lineman. The rest of the team seems to be, at least we don't know who's questionable, but the rest of the team seems to be fairly healthy.
Yeah, so going on to the next segment, which is key matchups. I'll start us off. I think the first key matchup is the Seahawks deep ball versus the Steelers secondary. We know that so far this season, the Steelers haven't been so great against the deep ball, and Geno Smith and DK Metcalf were really good in the time that Geno got to play against the Rams. So we'll have to see how well the Steelers secondary can hold up, because we know Minka Fitzpatrick is a really good safety. So we'll see if like DK does a little bit of shorter routes or whatnot. They also have Tyler Lockett, who is active for the game. I don't know if Dwayne Eskridge is coming back this game. It didn't list his name. Okay, he's not. So
Yeah,
okay,
I think he's still working through a concussion. That's what I heard. But if we don't see him as out in the injury report, then I actually don't know. I can check that for you.
yeah, okay, yeah. I was just confused because I usually see him on the injury report, but I mean, whether or not he's there or not, Freddie Swain, if he's not there, if Dwayne Eskridge isn't there, we know Freddie Swain can hold down the fort. And there's Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So it'll just be interesting to see how the deep ball does against the Steelers secondary.
Oh yeah, Eskridge got put on IR last week. I think we forgot. He'll be back in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That'll be week 9. Week 9. Yeah. So I mean, the one of the key matchups I'm thinking about is the Steelers receivers against Seahawks cornerbacks. It'll be interesting to see how Trey Brown coming back from the IR will work in. I think after Trey Flowers is cut, now your depth is a little shallow at cornerback. Even though it is Trey Flowers, I mean it's still cornerback depth, right? Injuries happen. and you need guys behind your starters to be able to be ready and be available to play. Right now, it'll still be Sidney Jones and DJ Reed starting, and it'll be interesting to see how they incorporate Bless Austin. I really do feel like, you know, Bless Austin has been underutilized, just to say the least. I haven't really seen him on the field ever since we got him, which is like it has been a month and a half since we've gotten Bless Austin. So I don't know if he hasn't picked up the playbook as well, or if Pete Carroll's just been hesitant to switch up what's going on at the cornerback position. But after we see him cutting Trey Flowers, we found out later that he actually didn't request to be cut. It was Pete Carroll said that it was time for a change, right? So the initial report was wrong. So maybe we see a little bit less hesitancy from him, like we usually do in to make changes in the secondary, and that's one of them that I'll be looking at.
Yeah, I think another one is Najee Harris, the running back for the Steelers, versus the Seahawks' run defense. Because we know, like Santosh said a little bit back, Bobby Wagner has a little bit of a sore knee, you could say, or like his body isn't 100%. Even if it even if he's not listed as an injury, you know that just like if you have an injury recently, you know your body still needs time to recover. So it'll be interesting to see how the defensive line holds up against Najee Harris, because Najee Harris is proving to be a really good running back for the Steelers. Last week he had a big game receiving and rushing. Another thing that I think is super interesting, especially for me, is the Seahawks defense on third down and in the red zone is actually one of the best in the NFL. Surprisingly, no, as bad as they are, if you think about it. I just saw like a stat a little bit back that uh, they're they're really good on third down and they're really good in the red zone. So against the Steelers offense, which we know is not very good, except for Big Ben's last game. We know the Steelers offense has not been very good, so it'll be interesting to see how he does. Talking about Big Ben, I think another key matchup is just seeing how he does in this game. He's coming off his best game as a passer last week, and we just have to see if he can continue that, or if the Seahawks defense can get the best of him and be able to hold up.
Yeah, I mean, segueing off of that, it's interesting you say that. When we watch the Seahawks games and we watch so many close games, we just sometimes we rely on the defense to come up with big stops, and at times it just feels like the other offense is just driving and driving and driving. And whenever that happens, it's mostly been in open field situations when the offense is backed up or in their own territory. It just feels like they just start driving and then they gain momentum and momentum. But when we're in the red zone, right? When the other offense is in the red zone, we come up and we somehow make stops. Like it doesn't make sense sometimes, but we get stops on defense and we make big plays. Sometimes that doesn't always work out, but I think it's a little abnormal how good we are on third down, considering how bad of a defense we are outside of third down. The fact that the teams that we play don't really get to third down that often, it's the lower sample size because we give up so many first downs in the first place before teams get to third down, right? So it's interesting to see how we're going to actually force three and outs, or we don't really even need, like, I mean, turnovers are great, but forcing three and outs and dominating time of possession is the number one thing for Seattle. When you have a backup quarterback like Geno Smith and a tired defense like we do, dominating possession, actually being able to run the football without Chris Carson. I mean, Alex Collins is a good backup, but it's going to be tough, right? Against a good uh, run defense. I mean, I don't know how the Steelers have done against the run, but I do know that they have a really talented front seven, and it's going to be tough to with a backup quarterback, with a backup running back, and banged up team to go on the road on prime time and be efficient. But I have some belief.
Yeah. Um, so other than that, we kind of listed a little bit of our players to watch. Najee Harris is one for me. Big Ben. Do you have any special players to watch, Santosh?
I will be watching Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool. It'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see how they match up against our corners. I already talked about this a little bit, but more about the receivers specifically is how they're going to create big plays. We saw Chase Claypool make big plays against the Broncos secondary last week, um, and it'll be interesting to see if mm, the Steelers actually try to incorporate more big plays and actually try to take big shots more against the Seattle defense. So that's one, and then a big player that I'll watch is Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett has been on the down for the past few weeks, and
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if his, with a guy like DK Metcalf, it's easy to build chemistry because he's just so big and he's so fast. He's just a big target. Chemistry with big targets is usually easier to find. It took time for Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett to form that chemistry. It took a couple of years to actually for that connection to really really become really good. And with Geno Smith coming in, it's going to be Tyler Lockett is a talented guy, but obviously, a lot of the things that he does has to do with the chemistry between him and Russ. And I don't know if his production is going to go up or down this game, but I hope it goes up. I hope that this week of practice, helped Geno and Tyler get on the same page a little bit. But it's hard to do it in 1 week, and that'll be interesting to watch.
yeah. Also, I think another player to watch is TJ Watt. We haven't mentioned his name yet so far. TJ Watt, he's coming in full force. We know that. I think a good amount of sacks against the Seahawks will be allowed. So, talking about sacks, when Geno Smith entered the game last week against the Rams, the Seahawks only allowed one sack to Geno Smith. Obviously, he didn't play for that long of a time period, but we just want to know if that's what's going on. But yeah, so I think TJ Watt's also another huge player to watch.
And you talk about how we only gave up one sack. I think one of the reasons is how much quicker Gino gets the ball out. I think if you notice,
Definitely, yeah,
last week I was starting to get frustrated with how long Russ was holding the ball, right? I mean, we can blame the O-line as much as we want. We can blame the play calling. We can blame Pete Carroll, Shane Waldron, whoever you want, but you can't deny that Russ sometimes just holds the ball too long, right? And he just doesn't get the ball out enough, whether that being, getting to his check down or just throwing it away. Sometimes being a veteran, you have to know when to throw it away and just when to get rid of the ball, right? And
yeah,
sometimes Russ just doesn't do that against a talented defensive line like the Rams defensive line. You have to know when to do that, and Russ just didn't do that last week, and that's
yeah.
what happened, right? And then we noticed the difference when Gino came in is is like astronomical. I was having an anxiety attack when Gino came in, but as soon as Gino came in, just get the ball out fast, 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 get to his receivers, and then he's checking plays at the line of scrimmage, which is a good thing, which means he knows the scheme, right? And he just 1 second, get the ball out, 2 seconds, bam, flat. When you compare it to Russ, it was like he was just scanning the field, getting out of the pocket, sometimes rolling out when he doesn't need to, stepping up in the pocket, this, that, all of this. You know, it just didn't sync with the offensive line,
I
and
think,
that
yeah,
makes a big difference.
yeah. I think it's also the different quarterback styles. Russell Wilson, we know, is an improviser. And at the combine a couple of years ago, Geno Smith said, even though he's a quick guy, like I think he has a 4.5 combine speed, so he's really fast. I don't know if you saw the
Gino runs a 4.5. I gotta check that.
yeah. I was filming with Abby yesterday. We checked. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he ran a 4.56. Um, he's a quick guy, and I think he still retained a lot of that speed. But we saw it, against the Rams. If he needs to run, we know he can. We know he can take off. So I think it's just the different quarterback styles. Geno Smith is just, quick decisions like one guy's not open, pass it, look it to the other guy. The other guy's not open, take off. Or whereas Russell Wilson is like, first guy's not open, go to second guy. Second guy's not open. Is there a third guy? Run outside his pocket. Let's wait. And then his last option is taking off. But Geno Smith is just two guys aren't open. Okay, I'll just take off. So it'll definitely be interesting
Or
to
even
see.
just throw it away, right? We
Yeah,
saw that.
it's just like
You're
I
right.
don't.
You're completely right. He did run a 4.5. Oh my
Yeah,
God. I
he's
didn't even.
fast.
Yeah, no, Gino's fast. I mean,
He
he's a bit
retained that
older now,
speed
but
too. Yeah, like if you saw, like he's still really fast. I mean, no shade to Russell, but I think he might be getting a little bit faster than Russell now. I mean,
I don't know about that. I don't know about
uh,
that.
no. You see, the 49 the play where Russell Wilson against the 49ers, that play, and then look at the Geno Smith run against the Rams late in that game. He just looked faster,
I
So.
mean, the dude's got long legs, so that might play a part in it. I think Gino's like what 6'3" or something like that.
Oh yeah, and he can also see over the offensive line, and that's also might be another reason why he gets the ball faster. Who knows? But
But
yeah,
yeah, that definitely plays a role. I think he's a bit older now, so some of that speed is a little diminished, but he can still, get out of the pocket and run if he needs to. But the more important thing is that he doesn't need to make big plays every play. I'm not saying that Russ does that, but that's kind of it's a little bit of a mindset that Russ has developed over the past few years.
yeah. So yeah. Other than that, I think it should be a fun game to watch. It's prime time. The Seahawks are good in prime time. So yeah, my prediction for this game is I think the Seahawks will win by a game-winning walk-off field goal. I think 24-21.
Oh
Um,
man, that's tough. I can't really see us putting up more than 20 points. If we do, that's great. But I think it's tough to predict this game. I have like either us winning like 20-17 or us losing 20-30. Like either it could go either way, but I think we'll stick around that time, like that point range.
yeah. So that's pretty much it for today's video for Hawk Talk. The game is set for 5:20 p.m. PST. So we hope you guys watch. Go Hawks, and yeah.
Go Hawks.